Welcome back to Church Soup, the greatest evangelical news show in the history of the internet. If you're new here, we take the wildest church news and events from across the web, break them up into bite-sized pieces, and serve them to you in about 10 minutes. Our top story. Pride Month has been in full swing, with many media outlets bending over backwards to pay homage to the Rainbow Mafia. Case in point, the streaming service Peacock, which tried to convince folks to watch a whole documentary about homosexual animals. Because that's not weird at all.
Everything you were taught as a kid is wrong.
You make me wanna dance.
Gay penguins.
I've heard their next documentary will encourage us all to throw our own feces and abandon our offspring at birth, because those are also things that some animals do. No thanks, all the same. And many progressive churches have joined the celebration, doing their best to twist scripture like the world's worst tasting churro. For instance, listen to this guy.
The Bible indicates that Jesus was bisexual.
What's that now?
The Bible indicates that Jesus was bisexual. Jesus was bisexual. Was bisexual. Was bisexual.
Okay, theology time. Jesus was never married, and he never sinned. So he wasn't sexual at all. Because sex is something that only happens righteously within the bond of marriage. And to all of you Dan Brown fans who think he was married to Mary Magdalene, I want to remind you that the Flat Earth Society called, and even they think you're crazy. I hope it was a blast for him, because it was certainly a blasphemy. But as if there was a contest to get me to say that line, another video has made the rounds on Twitter recently where a lady pastor claims that if Jesus were preaching the Beatitudes today, he would say this.
Jesus were giving his sermon today, he might also have said, "Blessed are those who end pregnancies, for they will be known for their loving kindness."
Isn't it amazing what Jesus will say when you literally just make it up? Moving on. There are some job titles that just shouldn't pair together, like work-from-home police officer or cardiologist janitor. But the least likely combo has to be pastor porn star. But that's exactly what's happening at Living Faith Church in San Diego, California. The husband and wife pastor team, Stephen and Angela De La Cruz, recently posted a video discussing Angela's internet side business.
I did so well that years later on, I said, I want to actually take it to the next level. I want to get into porn. And I asked my husband about it, and I was like, what do you think?
Now, I know that side hustles are sometimes necessary to make ends meet. I mean, hey, I've had many income streams in my years in the ministry, doing everything from substitute teaching to security to making awesome internet videos like this one. But OnlyFans is not a thing. And this husband laughing about his wife literally being the whorish woman from Proverbs means that neither of them should ever come anywhere near a pulpit. Even if the 18 to 25-year-old male demographic in their church is probably off the charts. Can we all agree that Benny Hinn, besides being a false teacher, is just a weird dude? From his outlandish claims to his amazing comb-over, everything about him screams, what? And this past Memorial Day, he did not disappoint. He posted a video of himself quietly holding a large American flag while wearing what appeared to be his wife's slippers and getting praised by a shirtless man on a one-wheeled electric skateboard.
Happy Memorial Day for me and Baba. And today we celebrate our fallen soldiers. God bless America and God bless you, Baba.
I am absolutely made of questions right now. But speaking of Benny Hinn, popular internet pastor Mike Winger recently made a video exposing many of Hinn's sinful practices that have been apparently going on for decades. Winger's 4-hour video, because apparently he also thinks brevity is sinful, is entitled The Victims of Benny Hinn, 30 Years of Spiritual Deception. This video has brought about a wave of criticism. This leads to our first ever Church Soup conspiracy theory timeout. What if Mike Winger and Benny Hinn are in this together? Mike Winger's been doing his best to destroy Benny Hinn's ministry, and it might actually work. But let's be honest, Hinn's been doing this to himself for a long time. What if Benny Hinn is like a drug kingpin who's been in the game too long and he wants out, but there's just too many moving parts. He just can't walk away.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
So he decides to use Mike Winger as his escape plan. Maybe he tried it with Costi, but that wasn't enough. He needs someone who can dismantle the system from the inside. And Mike Winger is his guy. He is the chosen one. Again, it's a wild conspiracy theory, but could you imagine Winger and Hinn plotting together to bring about Hinn's ultimate downfall? I know this is fake moon landing and grassy knoll level conspiracy stuff, but I think it's awesome. Oh, and Mike, if you're watching, I'm totally joking. I'm completely behind what you're doing, and I pray for your continued faithfulness. And just to prove I'm with you, here's a little known fact. About 15 years ago, I made my first ever viral video, which got about 250,000 downloads. And guess what it was called? Exposing Benny Hinn. I couldn't bring him down, but maybe you can. There's a link to the old video in the description of this one if you want to see it. I've already talked a lot about the SBC Convention, which was held this month in Indianapolis, devoting 2 of my podcasts to commenting on the event. But I can't let this episode of Church Soup go by without at least mentioning one thing. One of the issues which continues to be debated among Southern Baptists is the role of women in ministry, specifically the role of being a pastor. But during this year's convention, a lady was featured to lead a prayer which had a distinctly Zionist flavor.
And now I come to agree with you, Adonai, your chosen people, the Jews, and your claimed nation, Israel, have every right to defend and affirm their right to exist and flourish.
This just goes to show that while women pastors may one day depart the SBC, dispensationalism never will. Moving on to news from the multiverse. Do you realize that if the Molinists are right, and there are possible other universes due to the existence of counterfactuals, then there could be a timeline where Joel Osteen was actually a Calvinist? And do you realize that we were almost in that universe? Recently, a video was posted of Joel's first sermon, and I want you to just listen.
Divine plan. He had you be here in this date and this time in history. He foreordained it before the foundation of the world. In the book of Ephesians chapter 1 verse 4 it says, God chose us to be in Him before the foundation of the world.
Boy, talk about the one that got away. A Calvinistic Joel Osteen and a fantastic mullet. Glorious. In legal news, the state of Illinois has changed the term for criminal from offender to justice-impacted individual.
Well, we don't mess with anything in terms of the term victim. We just change offender to justice-impacted individual.
So no longer will lawbreakers be referred to as offenders, criminals, or felons, but instead, justice-impacted individual. Like they were just walking along and justice impacted them. Like a car wreck. Watch out, justice just ran the red light, and bam, you've been impacted. At this moment, we need to cut to a word from our sponsor. Are you a justice-impacted individual? Has your unwillingness to uphold even basic laws brought you feelings of insecurity and inadequacy? Have you ever sprained your ankle while running from a crime scene? Did the prongs from a police taser bring you a nasty infection? Do loss prevention representatives trigger feelings of stress and anxiety in your heart? Well, you might be entitled to compensation. Contact us at Reformation Law, and we'll fight for you. Some of our clients currently include Justin Timberlake. We'll be fighting to make sure that you make that world tour. Continuing with legal news. Earlier this month, Donald Trump was convicted on felony charges in a New York court, which has spawned various emotional responses from both the left and the right. But no matter where anyone stands politically on Donald Trump, I want to remind you that comparing him to Jesus is never the way to go.
President Trump is a convicted felon. Well, you want to know something? The man that I worship is also a convicted felon, and he was murdered on a Roman cross.
Guys, huddle up. Listen, come here, come here. Comparing anyone to Jesus, especially a politician, even a politician you personally like and believe was wrongfully convicted, is pointless. Those on the other side are going to think it's desperate, and most of the people on our side are going to think it's varsity level cringe. So on behalf of everybody, just
stop it.
Listen, if you really want to defend Trump, you don't need to compare him to Jesus. Just have his case moved to Illinois, and there he won't be a felon anymore. He'll just be a justice-impacted individual. Thank you for watching Church Soup. As always, I want to thank our friends over at Protestia for allowing us to use their videos, which they spend a lot of time cataloging. I definitely encourage you to check them out if you want to see more. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you didn't, hit the thumbs down button twice. If you have stories or clips that you'd like to submit for a future Church Soup episode, you can send them to us through our website at keithfoskey.com with the hashtag Church Soup.